Working in sports is the ultimate dream for some people, and rightly so. If you enjoy playing and watching sports, imagine actually getting paid to do your hobby. Sounds really good, right? Well, that's what I wanted to find out in this video, highlighting all of the good stuff there is about working in sports, more specifically sports analysis. I had my own opinions about what I thought were the pros and cons, but if you've watched my introduction video, you'll know that I haven't actually worked within a club for quite some time. So in order to get the answers that I wanted, I posed this question out to a number of people within my network that are currently working within sports analysis roles. So I simply just asked them what were the 3 best things they like about the job, and then 3 things that they don't like so much about the job. The cons of the job will come in another video, but this one is all about the good stuff. So what kind of things get people excited to go to work? What are the things that keep people going in the pursuit of their dream job? It was interesting to see the same things mentioned by the different analysts, but what was also interesting is how the answers almost differed between whether they came from an analyst within a good club and maybe a not so good club, but also another effect was the age and experience of the respondent too. All answers were given in confidence, so I won't be naming any of the analysts that actually took part in this, but what I will say is that the responses came from around 25 analysts, ranging from Premier League all the way down to non-league. There is also a mix of first team analysts and academy analysts, and people working within the men's game and the women's game, but I will say that all answers came from working within football. So I collated all the answers, matched them up so I could basically see which ones were the most popular. So the way I'll do this is I'm going to go through the 5 most popular points, and then I will also include a few extras as well if I thought they were worth mentioning too, if they're a little bit interesting, even if they only were said by 1 or 2 people. So you may catch me looking down here every now and again because I do have some quotes that I want to include that came along with the responses. So number 1, probably the most obvious, is one that I actually hinted out at the start of the video, and that is that you're getting paid to do something that you genuinely enjoy. Pretty much all the people that I spoke to were football fans growing up, and a lot of them actually played football at a decent level too. A lot of them still playing now, even if recreationally. So these guys, some of them grew up playing the likes of Football Manager. So to do that for a job, or to do something similar to that to a job and actually get paid, for them it's pretty much perfect. Some quotes I received were things like working your passion every day, chance to do what you love, and being involved in something that has always been a hobby. So quite an obvious one to start, but as they say, choose a job that you love and you will never work a day in your life. Okay, number 2, having an impact. As an analyst, you will spend countless hours prepping for different games, and every now and again, something that you did, spotted and prepared will actually decide the outcome of a game. It could be the research that you've given to the goalkeeper before a penalty shootout, or just some weakness that you've spotted for a certain team when defending set plays, for example. Things like that are golden, and it makes all of the hard work and time spent just feel that much more worth it. Imagine you've spent all week working on this particular game and your team gets a victory in front of a packed stadium and you played a part in that victory. Amazing stuff. One analyst said the buzz of spotting something live or coming up with a pre-match tactic which works is just the best. Another said that assisting in player development was a pro for him, and mentioned the feeling you get when you're a vital part of the process. Fair enough. Sound good so far? Before I get to the next point, I do have to ask you to subscribe to the channel and also hit that thumbs up button below the video. As I mentioned, coming up after this video, we have all of the negatives of the job, and you really do not want to miss that video. Right, point number 3 that analysts love about their job. The atmosphere/banter. So if you've worked in a club, you probably know what I mean by this, but this was a very popular one within the responses that I received. I think when you're working with a club, putting a lot of hours in and traveling up and down the country, you're spending a lot of time with the other people within your team, so you do build some close connections. My last club, which I've spoken about in a previous video, was Brighton and Hove Albion, and my time there was class. I'm still friends with people from there now, and throughout the season we had a great time. Yeah, we put in a lot of hours and a lot of work, but we had a lot of fun doing that. I could actually do a whole separate video on funny stories that I've had working within football clubs, so you definitely do meet some interesting characters. I will say that it definitely does beat working a boring, normal job. The feeling of being within a team that's all working towards the same goal while having fun sounds really good to me. Okay, so number 4. So this one is slightly linked to the previous one in terms of being about your colleagues, but number 4 is getting to work with elite players and coaches. As I mentioned, the analysts that got back to me did include Premier League analysts and even analysts that had been involved in the Champions League. Now that would be good. The amount that there is to be learnt from these people is incredible. So imagine you are a 20-something-year-old analyst and you're working within a club and your manager has been involved in the game longer than you've been alive. The key here is to soak up as much as you can. Not only coaches and players, but also practitioners from other disciplines too. The physio or strength conditioning guys, for example. So remember, these will have dedicated a huge portion of their lives to their craft. So working alongside highly skilled and highly determined people, for me, is very, very motivating. So that point there was actually number one for a lot of the respondents. So one said that he enjoyed working day to day surrounded by the best coaching brains in the business, whilst another said that developing relationships with other dedicated professionals and people from different backgrounds and cultures really allows you to continue learning. I can't say that I disagree with that. Okay, so the fifth most popular point was the competitive nature of the game. I think this just helps to keep things even more entertaining. So whether you are fighting for survival, going for a promotion, or trying to get to the next round of the cup, the goal is always to win. This does differ slightly between the first team and academy, because with the academies, particularly at the younger ages, that might be centered more around development, but at the end of the day, nobody likes to lose. I mean, sure, some of the points do link, but I also think they complement each other nicely too. For example, a highly competitive job can be stressful, and so this is made more relaxing with an enjoyable atmosphere. Working in a competitive environment with a group of very smart and fun people usually makes the whole experience a good one. You rarely find someone working in sports that isn't competitive. Okay, so those are the 5 main points, but I do want to give a shout out to a couple more that were mentioned in the responses. They were mentioned slightly less often, but I did think they were still pretty good and worth including. Firstly, this one may be reserved for those working slightly higher up the pyramid, but I did want to include it as at the end of the day, I feel, you might start your career down in the lower leagues, but you probably do want to aspire to get to the top. And this point is the places and venues that you actually get to work in. This includes flying abroad for cup games and playing in, famous European stadiums, or being pitchside at Old Trafford, the Emirates, or even Wembley Stadium. I've actually been lucky enough to work at Wembley Stadium a couple of times, and as you can imagine, it was amazing. The journey from the gantry to the change rooms at halftime is a little bit tricky, and it is a long journey, but it's definitely worth it. Other points mentioned include meeting and working with people you grew up watching and supporting, the fine margins that sport is all about and how analytical it can be, and also the respect and buy-in you get from the players and the coaches that truly respect what you are doing. Granted, these will differ between, the different types of club that you're at, but I did think they were all interesting points. For sure, not all the coaches and players will have the same level of buy-in, but if you gain the respect from your peers and they truly appreciate the work and the hard work that you're putting in, I think you'll find working in sport and sports analysis would be a very fulfilling position. Anyway, that's it for this video, so please make sure you like the video, because I do want to see you in the next video where we flip this around and we look at all the negatives that come with a job in sports analysis. Trust me, the points in this video are just one side of the story. Like anything, there are both pros and cons. A big thanks need to go to the analysts that took part and gave their answers. Obviously, the video wouldn't have been able to be created without those, so a big thanks goes to them. And also thanks to you for watching the video, so have a great day and I hope to see you in the next video too.